Plug-in hybrids versus pure electric vehicles, PHEV versus EV, plug-in hybrid or full electric. Are plug-in hybrids better than EVs? If you're trying to decide between a plug-in hybrid and a pure EV, you need to understand the real differences. The marketing says plug-in hybrids give you the best of both worlds: electric range for daily driving, gasoline engine for long trips, no range anxiety, no waiting at charging stations. Pure EVs promise zero emissions, lower running costs, simpler mechanics, the future of transportation. But the reality is more complicated than either side wants to admit. So, are plug-in hybrids better than pure EVs, or is it the other way around? And more importantly, which one is actually right for your life, your driving, and your budget? Let's cut through the hype and talk about plug-in hybrids and pure electric vehicles the way adults actually need to hear it. PHEV pros and cons, EV advantages and disadvantages. If you want car advice that respects your intelligence and explains both the engineering and the money side, hit subscribe right now. And if you know someone trying to decide between a PHEV and an EV, share this video with them. This is information most people never get explained clearly. First, let's be clear about what we're comparing. PHEV explained, EV explained. A plug-in hybrid, or PHEV, has a gasoline engine, an electric motor, and a battery you can charge from an outlet or charging station. It can drive on electric power alone for a limited range, usually between 20 and 50 miles, depending on the model. When the battery is depleted, it operates like a regular hybrid, using both the engine and electric motor together. PHEV electric range, how plug-in hybrids work. Pure electric vehicle. The question is not which technology is better in the abstract. The question is which one fits your driving pattern, your home situation, and your tolerance for compromise. Let's start with where plug-in hybrids shine. PHEV advantages. When to buy a PHEV. The biggest advantage of a PHEV is flexibility. If your daily commute is within the electric range, you can drive on electricity most of the time. Plug in at night, drive to work and back on battery power, and never use gasoline during the week. But when you need to take a long road trip, the gasoline engine is there. No range anxiety, no planning charging stops, no waiting 30 minutes at a fast charger. You just fill up with gas and go. PHEV road trip capability. PHEV no range anxiety. For people who do mostly short trips but occasionally drive long distances, a plug-in hybrid can make a lot of sense. A PHEV can cover 70 to 80% of your miles on electricity if your daily driving is within the electric range, while still giving you gasoline backup for the times you need it. Plug-in hybrids also work better if you do not have reliable home charging. If you live in an apartment, rent a house without a garage, or park on the street, charging a pure EV every night can be difficult or impossible. PHEV is more forgiving. You can charge when convenient and use gasoline when you cannot plug in. PHEV without home charger. PHEV apartment living. Plug-in hybrids are also easier to live with in cold weather. Batteries lose range in freezing temperatures. A pure EV that gets 300 miles in summer might only get 200 miles in a harsh winter. The cabin heater also drains the battery quickly because there is no engine heat to use. A PHEV still has the gas engine for heat and extended range, so cold weather is less of a problem. You might lose some electric range, but the gasoline engine keeps everything working normally. PHEV cold weather performance, PHEV winter driving. Plug-in hybrids also tend to be less expensive than pure EVs. A plug-in hybrid version of a car might cost $3,000 to $8,000 more than the regular hybrid or gasoline version. A pure EV with similar interior space and features often costs significantly more. PHEV price comparison. Now let's talk about where pure electric vehicles shine. EV advantages. Why buy an EV? A pure EV is simpler. No gasoline engine means no oil changes, no exhaust system, no fuel injectors, no spark plugs, no catalytic converter, no transmission fluid in most cases, fewer systems to maintain, and fewer things that can break. EV maintenance cost, EV reliability. Running costs are also lower if you charge at home. Electricity is cheaper than gasoline in most regions. If you drive 12,000 miles per year in a pure EV and pay average home electricity rates, your fuel cost might be $500 to $700 per year. The same mileage in a gasoline car could cost $1,500 to $2,000 or more, depending on fuel prices. EV versus gas cost per mile. EV charging cost at home. EV is also smoother and quieter. No engine vibration, no gear changes, just instant torque and silent acceleration. If you value a calm, refined driving experience, EVs deliver that better than anything else. EV driving experience, EV smoothness. Performance is another area where EVs excel. Electric motors provide full torque instantly. Even affordable EVs feel quick off the line. High-performance EVs can be shockingly fast. A mid-range EV will often accelerate faster than a similar gasoline car because electric motors don't need to build RPMs. EV instant torque, EV acceleration. Pure EVs also have more interior space in many cases. Without an engine, transmission, or fuel tank, designers can use the space differently. Many EVs have front trunks, flat floors, and more cargo room than comparable gasoline cars. EV interior space, EV frunk. Environmental impact is another consideration. A pure EV produces zero tailpipe emissions. If charged using renewable energy, the overall carbon footprint can be very low. Even when charged from a grid that uses fossil fuels, EVs are generally cleaner over their lifetime than gasoline cars. EV emissions, EV environmental impact. But here's where the problems start for both types: PHEV disadvantages, EV disadvantages. PHEVs sound perfect on paper, but in reality they can be the worst of both worlds if you don't use them correctly. PHEV drawbacks, PHEV problems. A PHEV carries the weight and complexity of both a gasoline powertrain and a large electric system. That means extra weight, more components, and more things that can potentially fail. If you don't plug it in regularly, you're lugging around hundreds of pounds of battery for no reason. PHEV weight, PHEV not plugged in. Some PHEV owners never plug in. They buy the car for tax incentives, carpool lane access, or because they think it sounds good, but they drive it like a regular hybrid. In that case, fuel economy in gasoline mode is often worse than a standard hybrid because of the extra weight. PHEV fuel economy without charging, PHEV gas-only mode. Studies have shown that real-world PHEV owners vary widely in how much they actually use electric mode. Some charge religiously and drive mostly electric. Others rarely plug in and get worse fuel economy than they would in a regular hybrid. PHEV batteries are also larger and more expensive to replace than regular hybrid batteries. If the battery fails outside of warranty, replacement can cost $5,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on the model. PHEV battery replacement cost, PHEV battery lifespan. Plug-in hybrids also have all the maintenance of a gasoline car: oil changes, coolant, transmission fluid in most cases, fuel system, exhaust, spark plugs. You're not escaping any of that. You're just adding electric components on top. PHEV maintenance requirements, PHEV oil change.
And if you do plug in regularly, you might need a level 2 home charger for convenience. A basic 120-volt outlet can charge a PHEV overnight in many cases, but it is slow. Installing a 240-volt level 2 charger can cost $500 to $2,000 depending on your electrical setup and whether you need panel upgrades. PHEV home charger cost, PHEV level 2 charger. Pure EVs have their own set of problems. EV drawbacks, EV challenges. The biggest issue is range and charging infrastructure. Even with 300 miles of range, long road trips require planning. You need to know where chargers are, whether they're working, and how long you will need to wait. EV charging on road trips. EV range anxiety. Fast charging is not as fast as filling a gas tank. Even the quickest DC fast chargers take 20 to 40 minutes to add significant range. If the charger is slow, broken, or occupied, your trip can be delayed. And not all charging networks are equally reliable. EV charging time, EV charging infrastructure problems. Charging at home is convenient, but only if you have a garage or dedicated parking spot with electrical access. If you live in an apartment, condo, or rent, installing a charger may not be possible. Public charging is more expensive and less predictable. EV apartment charging, EV home charging requirements. Battery degradation is another concern. All lithium-ion batteries lose capacity over time. A pure EV with 300 miles of range when new might only have 250 to 270 miles after 8 or 10 years. That is normal, but it affects resale value and long-term usefulness. EV battery degradation, EV battery health over time. Battery replacement cost is also a major financial risk. A replacement battery for a pure EV can cost $10,000 to $20,000 or more depending on the model. Warranties typically cover the battery for 8 years or 100,000 miles, but after that, you're on your own. EV battery replacement cost, EV battery warranty. Cold weather also hurts EV range significantly. In freezing temperatures, range can drop 30 to 40% or more. Heating the cabin drains the battery quickly because there's no waste engine heat to use. Preconditioning the battery and cabin while plugged in helps, but it is one more thing to manage. EV winter range loss, EV cold weather performance. Insurance and repair costs can also be higher for EVs. Battery damage in an accident can total the car even if the rest of it is fine. Some body shops are not trained or equipped to work on EVs. Some insurance companies charge higher premiums for EVs because of repair costs and parts availability. EV insurance cost, EV repair cost, resale value is unpredictable. Some EVs hold value well, others drop fast, especially if newer models with better range or lower prices come out. Early EV buyers have seen significant depreciation as technology improved and prices dropped. EV depreciation, EV resale value. So which one is better? PHEV or EV for me? PHEV versus EV decision. A plug-in hybrid makes sense if you drive short distances most days but need gasoline backup for longer trips. If you do not have reliable home charging but can plug in sometimes. If you live in a cold climate and want flexibility. If you're not ready to fully commit to electric driving but want to reduce fuel use. If you take frequent road trips and don't want to plan charging stops. PHEV best use cases. Who should buy a PHEV? A pure electric vehicle makes sense if almost all your driving is local or regional. If you have home charging or very reliable workplace charging. If you rarely take long road trips or if you are willing to plan charging stops when you do. If you want the lowest running costs and simplest mechanics. If you drive a lot of miles per year and can maximize the fuel savings. If you value performance and instant torque. EV best use cases. Who should buy an EV? A plug-in hybrid makes less sense if you never plug it in. If your commute is very short and you don't drive much. If you cannot justify the higher purchase price and complexity compared to a regular hybrid. If you want the simplest, most reliable powertrain. A pure EV makes less sense if you frequently drive long distances beyond the vehicle's range. If you do not have home charging and must rely on public chargers. If you live in an area with poor charging infrastructure. If you need a vehicle that works the same way in all conditions without planning. If you cannot afford the higher purchase price or the risk of expensive battery replacement outside of warranty. Let's talk about cost. PHEV cost of ownership, EV cost of ownership. Plug-in hybrids typically cost more than regular hybrids but less than comparable pure EVs. Federal tax credits can reduce the price of both PHEVs and EVs, but the rules change frequently and not all models qualify. Some states offer additional rebates. PHEV tax credit, EV tax credit. Fuel and electricity costs depend on your driving and local rates. If you charge a PHEV at home and drive mostly on electric, your fuel costs can be very low. If you never plug in, it's just an expensive hybrid with worse fuel economy. A pure EV will almost always have lower fuel costs than any gasoline vehicle if you charge at home. But if you rely heavily on public DC fast charging, the cost advantage shrinks a lot. Public DC fast charging can cost as much per mile as driving an efficient gasoline car. Insurance costs higher for EVs in the long term, but only if the battery stays healthy. A PHEV has more things to service, but those are known costs. A failed EV battery outside of warranty can be a financial disaster. Depreciation is unpredictable for both. Some EVs hold value well, others drop fast. PHEVs tend to depreciate like luxury cars because buyers worry about battery replacement and complexity. So what's the bottom line? Plug-in hybrids are not better than pure EVs. Pure EVs are not better than plug-in hybrids. They're different tools for different situations. If your life and driving fit a pure EV, it can be the most efficient, lowest cost, and simplest option. If your life doesn't fit a pure EV yet, a plug-in hybrid can give you some electric driving without the limitations. But if you buy a PHEV and never plug it in, you wasted money. And if you buy a pure EV without the charging access or driving pattern to support it, you'll be frustrated. The smart question is not which technology is better. The smart question is which one actually works for your daily life, your home situation, your budget, and your tolerance for planning and compromise. If you want car advice that cuts through the marketing and helps you make smart decisions, subscribe. Every car has a story, and GearHead Genius is here to decode.